art and design.
Okay.
Gotcha.
And when I got the word back then after the year, Maureen said, "What are you going to do?" Well, I said, "I'm at to be knocked with the thing." They told me not to apply for the art as much as they look, you're not good enough. End of story. And I said, "Okay, but you have design." And sure, I couldn't. I said, "Loving, must have been a stroke of luck that I got so much in the design because I hated it.
Good.
It was too hard, Ollie, very hard." So I packed it in then.
Well, design is all very technological now.
Oh,
You'd want to be kind of on the ball as a young person going in.
Jesus Almighty!
It's all.
Yeah.
Hey, are you ready to go? Yeah. Okay. Frankie, so how we start is if you can kind of tell us a little bit first about who your family were, your mother, your father, where they came from, and then where you went to primary school, just that kind of stuff.
Oh, that kind of thing. Okay. So
off you go, whenever you're ready. Just tell us about who your mum and dad was.
Will I say my name? Yeah. Oh, right, Ollie, yeah. Tell me if I'm going wrong.
No, you're fine. Keep
Yeah.
going.
My name is Frank Whelan. I was born in Waterford. My mother's name was Aggie North, and my father's name was Michael Whelan. My mother was born in Cologne in County Wexford, and my father was born in Barrack Street. Not Barrack Street, but the hill. Ballybricken. In Ballybricken. And I have sisters, 2 sisters and 3 brothers. Well, no longer because 3 brothers are dead, so that's 3 of those.
And how did your mum and dad meet?
She met because her mother died. Her mother died shortly after she was born, and she was brought from the country because they were living on a farm. She was brought up and reared by her aunt and uncle, and they lived in High Street. And we ended up living in High Street ourselves, all our family.
And High Street then, was there a business down there or a shop or something?
It was nearly all because it was a real merchant street, so it was known for the shops and everything else. There was a shop in front of our house.
Okay.
We lived in 50 High Street, and Sullivan's were next door. They were the bottlers.
Yeah.
Sullivan's wanted the house. So they bought it off of my grandmother because it was my grandmother's house, because they wanted it to turn the end into a pub and to turn the rest into offices. So we were shifted across the road. We only moved barely across the road. So it was no bother taking the furniture. You put it on your back and that was it. So we went across to number 7. And that's where we ended. The whole lot was knocked down. My brother Louis was the last left there. I left, maybe 1 or 2 years before it was actually knocked. It was demolished.
And where did you go to primary school, in fact?
Where did I go? I went to St. Declan's. Loved it.
And did you go to secondary school?
I did. I went to De La Salle College.
Okay. And how far on did you go? What age were you when you left De La Salle?
De La Salle, I was about 14 maybe.
Okay.
14 or so, yeah.
And then did you go straight to the class?
Went into the glass shortly after that. Then I was 15 when I went into the glass, and at that time you had to do 1 day a week because you weren't young enough to work. They allowed you to work, but you had to do 1 day for in school.
Yeah.
School, yeah.
Down to Tech, was it?
Down the Tech, I think. Yeah, down the Tech. Yeah.
And then when you went in at 15, where was that? Was that in Johnstown?
Oh yeah, in Johnstown.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was your memory? Just when you walked in the first day, what was your memory of that place when you went in?
What was my memory? I think it looked so big that you didn't realise it was so vast because I was never there before. And you don't realise. And then when you see how many heads are around the place, how many workers were there even then,
And like you're only a kid, like you're only like 15.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they must have appeared very old, like all the fellas working there. And all that.
No, I don't think so, because really and truly, I suppose, maybe there were only, it took, maybe the men that came from Germany could have been in their 50s or their 50-odds or 60s, or the Italians. But no, as regarding the Irish chaps, they were only all like maybe 28, 29, you know, around that, young enough.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, what was the procedure then when you went in first? What did they get you to do?
Yeah, well, you cleaned up, and you know, this was, you know, you did all that until you eventually got in on the how to do something. You know, it took a while.
And what did they get you to do first? What was the first kind of? Did they get you to do blowing or glass?
No. I was in the mould shop.
Okay.
So what did I get to do first? I suppose putting pitch together. They called it pitch, was for the blowing room. It made the stems. So that was probably the easiest job that you could do in the start to kind of get you in on it, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, did you start off first as a cutter, or did you?
I started off first I went in first as a cutter, and I think I only lasted the pace about maybe 6 months or so, when I got shifted. Well, it was either I'd be out on the road, or else, lucky enough, the job came up in the mould shop.
Okay. And then just explain to people, because people wouldn't know what the mould shop was. So what was the purpose of the mould shop?
Purpose of the mould shop was to actually make the moulds for the glass to be blown in. You know?
So when the blowers were blowing the glass, there was a mould to make the shape.
There was a mould to make the shape, yeah.
Okay.
There was a mould to make the shape.
So, and what did you make these moulds out of?
Made it out of beech. Yeah, all the moulds were made out of beech. The pitch, as I said, for making the stems, they were made out of pear wood. Yeah.
And so, had you any experience working wood before this?
Not a blessed, no.
And did you like it?
Loved it. Really loved it, yeah.
And what did you like about using this stuff?
Probably working with your hands, really working with your hands. And I loved actually doing the mould and seeing it when it finished, and to get the feel of it. You know, people would often say, that's impossible, you know. But I'd often, if I felt inside the mould, I'd actually know this is coming to completion. This is finishing. It was like a sense was going from your hands to your brain. I don't know, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it's a much different thing to be working with wood than glass.
It is.
You know what I mean? So it's very interesting. It's much more tactile, isn't it?
Yeah, it's. I loved it. I really did. I loved it.
And that just happened by accident.
Happened by accident.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, that really happened by accident.
And like your family, your just to go back in your ancestors, there wasn't any crafts people around in your family, was there?
No.
Okay.
No, I don't. No, my father was a butcher. I don't know the rest after that. Then, you know.
Okay. And then, when they were working on the moulds, was it kind of a high pressure job, or was it more easygoing as regards, you know, way?
Oh, gee, but you had to get it right, so it was high pressured enough that you got it right, because, you know, and especially if they were actually, we say, in a rush to get something out, then you had to make sure you had it right, you know, really.
And what were the kind of common problems then?
The common problems you could...
making for doing moulds.
Common problems probably would be that if you rushed it too much, you might take too much off, and the mould is spoiled. You know, it doesn't fit the paper cut.
And who taught you how to do it?
A German. A German, Kurt Berger.
Okay. And he came over with all these skills from Germany?
He came over with all the skills. I think, I'm not really sure. Good few years before I went in there, you know.
And what was it like to work with him?
He was very... very, very easygoing in a sense. You feel ashamed because he was such a craftsman. He was absolutely. I don't think there was one person, no matter what they worked at in Waterford Crystal, could ever come up against Kurt Berger as regarding skills. Yeah.
And did he have good English, or how did you?
Oh, perfect, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, perfect English, yeah. Yeah.
And did you ever find out anything about him, or where he came from, what part of Germany and all that?
He came from East Germany. He came from East Germany. I think he left East Germany just before the wall probably went up, you know. Yeah.
And then, and did he end up settling in Waterford then? Or?
Oh yeah, he ended up settling in Waterford, in Johns Park on the German road in Johns Park. I think at the time they were all Waterford Crystal houses, and they bought them. You know, like yeah.
And then, when he showed you this craft, who was working with you at the time? Who were the gang of fellas that you were working with?
There was only one other chap when I went in there, Tony. Tony is beyond me now, and I can't think of it. Yeah.
And then he learned from this guy.
Yeah, he learned because he was probably he learned from him, and like I suppose he took over them because he was learning me. He was teaching me as well as you know what I mean. But he left shortly afterwards. He became a carpenter. Yeah.
So he found his trade then.
Yeah, and yet he was fantastic at the one he was in. You know what I mean?
And then, so the two of you, yourself and Kurt, used to do the moulds mostly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And like, how much stuff would you have to turn out a week? These moulds, would you?
Oh my, cheapers. We'd say an ordinary wine glass. You might have to turn out anything up to 6, 7, 8 of them per week, and that wouldn't be counting all the other ones, you know, down the line. But a hell of a lot of, because like you can understand when they say that the glass is, oh God, I'm looking for the word. It's handmade.
Yeah.
When it's handmade, in actual fact, it really is handmade, because you know a handmade thing, because every glass that's made is going to be a small bit bigger than the one before, because it's burning out. Yeah.
That's really interesting.
It's burning out, yeah. Yeah. And
so a fraction, small, tiny.
Small, not even, you wouldn't notice it, but you wouldn't notice it now with your eye, you know, but it was small, yeah.
That's gas.
It's gas, yeah.
And sorry, to go back, way back.
Yeah.
You know in Johnstown, they used to do soda glasses.
Yeah.
Did you have to do that as well for them?
Soda, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Because wasn't there, they were had to be precise, like a half pint or a pint,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff, or
Yeah.
a measure and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So those measurements had to be absolutely correct, didn't they?
Well, you were probably bang on with making the mould, and what had happened is to be up to someone else after that, then to knock them off at the right spot and everything else. And then they went to another, at that time I remember, they went to another department, and I think, I'm not sure whether he could have been brought in or he just became, I remember he was a guard. Now, he could have been there for the reason of stamping that and saying, this is an imperial pint.
Okay.
You know?
Okay.
Yeah.
So it was like a measurement thing. It was like that.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, and it was a stamp then, you know.
That's gas. And sorry, and then, so you used to have to do all these moulds. So you must have gone through a lot of wood.
A terrible hell of a lot of wood, yeah. Yeah.
Where was it coming from?
Most of the wood at that time, in my time, was coming from Lord Waterford's. They bought it out there, yeah.
So these would be trees that they would cut down specially, or would they?
Well, I suppose at the time they didn't worry about the, you know, they weren't apt to falling down. They were actually felled, and that was it, you know.
So it's a commercial operation.
It's commercial, yeah.
And like, would you have to kind of, the other way wood would have to be dried and all that kind of stuff, would you have to kind of have the trees how old or anything like that?
No. The wetter it was, the better.
Okay.
Because for the simple reason red hot glass was going into it. Mostly when the mould was done, the mould was taken and was put in. We had vats out around the corner, and they were steeped in that. So you could probably put a mould in today, and it wouldn't be taken out until tomorrow, and then shifted to the blowing room.
So the more moist you are, the better.
Yeah.
Okay.
The more it takes in, the more water it takes in.
Okay.
Yeah.
And like, did this wood turning thing? I mean, did you just take to it naturally?
Loved it, and I think in later life I even kind of I loved it more because for the simple reason I was in a couple of charities, and one of them was Eddie Roach, and I used to make an awful lot of stuff then, and have I went to say it for me, the Protestant place up Newtown.
Yeah.
And I used to have a stand in Newtown, and I'd sell it. But I was selling it for 80 roach. I didn't make any profit in it. And one of the lads that actually used to paint it or varnish it or do whatever, he was a professional, Frank Long in Port Law. Frank never charged me for any of the pieces. So that's where I used to have who I went in there then with, because actually she got me the place, was Marinaise Downey. She got me the place. She was next to me because both of us were in Eddie Roach. Were in for Eddie Roach,
Yeah. And so you were good at doing like bowls and all that kind of
stuff? The whole lot. I didn't know. I was running out of things to do between bowls and vases and lamps and the whole lot, yeah. But they sold.
Oh, it's beautiful.
They sold, yeah.
And would you not, I mean, did you ever think about going into that as a business afterwards?
No.
Okay.
No, not really. That's all. I only did it for the...
There was a chap I used to do down in Boatstrand. He used to do a lot of wood turning. Do you remember that chap? He used to do a lot of really nice bowls for fruit and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I knew a few of them, Ollie. I knew a few of the lads, but I was kind of never interested in joining. I don't know why. You know what I mean?
So anyway, then you were in the glass factory right through from when you were 14, 15, right up to in your 40s, or what age were you when you left?
I wish.
In
my 40s. No, I had it there. I went in October in 1959.
Okay.
And I came out on January, the end of January 2003.
Okay.
That was 43 years.
Wow.
3 years and 3 months exactly. Yeah.
And so you that was a long time. And then when you left then, was there other wood turners there at that stage?
Yeah, there was two lads, two left behind, Brian and
Smart.
Yeah.
And then...
Yeah, two of them.
Okay. And then when you left, was that the end of it then, or did you keep in touch with the lads afterwards?
Oh, I kept in touch, yeah. It was like, I went nearly every week, but I didn't want to, this case that we often spoke about, people that are after leaving. I said, look at him. Will he stay out of the place, But I don't think it was ever the question with me, because we were a small department and that was it. The lads were happy to see me every week, and I'd either give them the lotto or they'd give me the money for the lotto. I was responsible then for doing the lotto,
And would you have a good relationship with the blowers?
Ah, yeah, because it's mostly the blowers you see you're attached to, because you're supplying everything to them, but an awful lot in the cutting shop as well, and the engraving and the sculpture and the whole lot. You know what I mean?
Well, absolutely, for the sculpture, I suppose, particularly.
Yeah.
And with the blowers, what kind of blowers would you remember from way back that were a good crack, or used to have a bit of a relationship?
Ah, gee, it was a good crack when I seen it. There was a load of them, so you know what I mean. I'd pick out one. I'd say he was a great crack. Was Henry Maloney.
Yeah.
Henry Maloney. Who else? You could go on and on. You know what I mean.
And what was the thing about Henry? What was he famous for?
He was good for the slag. To slag someone and to. What way would I put it, And like, Henry didn't talk, Henry shouted, But he's fabulous, and he still is to this day,
And he was big into hurling, wasn't he?
Very big into hurling, and so was his brother.
Okay.
Yeah.
And also big into charity work.
Oh, gee, all his life. As long as I know Henry, he did charity work, yeah.
And that was the thing about the glass factory, wasn't it? It was kind of famous for looking after different charities.
They did yet, Ollie, joking aside, when you look back on it, they had an awful lot of slagging from, not slagging, but who do they think they are, from the other factories in the town. And yet they forgot that Waterford Crystal gave more than nearly the whole lot of them put together. We gave every single week to some charity or union. I mean, there was times, and it was just stopped out of our wages. So there was an awful lot. When the workforce went down, an awful lot of people in the charity business felt it an awful lot, Yeah.
And then that whole thing of people knocking the glass factory workers and all that, where do you think that came from? Why was that there?
Why was it there? I think it was there because maybe an awful lot, not the whole lot, but a few of the lads kind of boasted about what they have, and if they were at the bar, they'd pull out an awful lot. And there was other people there that hadn't probably half, not even half of their wages. They had fantastic wages,
Okay.
Yeah.
And sorry, just go back a little bit too, Frank. Do you know, you mentioned Kurt, what was the name of the chap, the wood turner man?
Kurt Berger.
Kurt.
Yeah.
But do you remember some of the older people from Germany or Italy and those people?
Oh, yeah.
Would you remember any of them?
Oh, yeah, Joe Kretzen. Joe was fantastic too. Joe Kretzen, Max Gestel, Louis Defenza. They were Italian. Louis was Italian. Knew all of them, and they were all, you know what I mean? They were super. They were, yeah.
Very hard working people, apparently, is that right?
Very, very hard. Know what I mean? Like, I remember then in the Blowing when I was there, that we say a young fellow would, like me, but he was working in the Blowing as young as me, would be sent across the road to Keneally's, the pub, Keneally's, and probably buy half dozen large bottles of Guinness. And that was brought back, and the lads would drink that on, they were allowed it then. I don't know when the practice stopped, but they used to drink then their large bottle of Guinness. It kept probably the salt, you know what I mean?
The furnaces apparently were incredibly hot.
Very hot, boy. And they were up on top of them when you think of it, Very, very hot. Or to go over, and when they were changing the furnaces every now and again, the lads would go in and they change it. And, you see this thing coming out, and you say, "Oh my God! If I slipped and went up on top of that, I was gone forever." Red hot.
A lot of fellas went into the glass factory but didn't last very long. They left very fast.
Yeah.
Because it was a tough job, wasn't it?
It was a very tough job. A very, very tough job. But anyone stayed there always loved it. Yeah.
But you'd have to be used to, you'd have to be able for the pressure, because
yeah,
it was not like an easy job.
No, 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 it wasn't. Blowers or cutters, I don't think they were easy jobs. You know, they were all very, they were tense, kind of really tense jobs. You know, yeah.
And then with the you mentioned Henry from the blowing room, and I believe that there was often a great sing song in the blowing room late at night among the blowers.
Yeah. I don't remember because I was never on a. I was day. I was day. But yeah, I'd say so. You know.
What about in the cutting area? What would you remember any of the lads in the cutting area from way back?
There you go, cheapers. Yeah, God, I would the whole lot of them. The older crowd we say was Paddy O'Keefe, Paddy. All you know, Paddy. Paddy. I should have written it off.
No, you're fine. But it was a very. They were doing the same cuts every day, weren't they? I mean, there was a kind of a tough, hard to keep going at that.
Well, they really weren't doing the same. They may have been if they had, we say, a certain amount of glasses that they were doing, but they would probably have a change. We say with a bass coming along, but mostly, yeah, you're right. It'd be repetition. They would be doing the same one.
And you mentioned the design department. You know, like for the say the specialist pieces.
Yeah.
Did you have any involvement in that at all? Did you have to do molds for any of that kind of stuff?
Probably, Ollie. I couldn't really, you know.
And did you get to go away then with any of the trips for the?
Yeah, I went to America. I went once for the glass. And I went another time then with Eddie Roach.
Okay.
For Eddie Roach, we went to Kofi Annan.
The UN.
The UN.
Okay.
The UN, yeah. Okay. And it was a special one that they had artists from all over Chernobyl. Okay. These little children or whatever, or elder, and they had an exhibition in the UN.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then when you went with the glass time,
yeah.
Did you have to go over and do something, or did you?
Yeah, we had to just sign the glass. You know, okay. You could walk in and you could say, "Look, can I put to my darling mother, signed to my anything like that? You know, best wishes to their daughters or their husbands or their." And this is what you had.
So you had to be able to engrave that? You
had to engrave it, yeah. You had a small little course before you left to know how to engrave, you know.
Oh.
Yeah.
So that was nice to get a trip to America then,
it was beautiful. It was. No, for lots it was nice, but like, I thought in the end, you know what I mean? Like, you couldn't say, well, I was in Chicago and I was in, you were in all those places. And I don't know how many flights I had. Because you're only there for 2 weeks, and I think you have to do about, I don't know how many stores you have to do in the different places, you know. So you're going from St. Louis to Kentucky.
So it wasn't a holiday?
No. It's all you saw then. After that was the big apartment stores and the hotel. The hotel. But you had luxury to the last. They put you up in luxury. I mean, you had rooms, and I often said, "Oh God, I could have the wife and the children here now because the bed was so huge. This big bed, I couldn't find my way out of it in the morning." And it was a nice experience, but that's, you know what I mean. You'd have to go back to say, "Well, is this really St. Louis?" Probably. I saw an awful lot of St. Louis, and it was very nice. I was 2 days in St. Louis, I think, without doing any work. So I was brought around.
And did any of your kids go into the glass?
Yeah, Robin. One of my sons went into the glass. Yeah.
And what did he do?
He only kind of examined the glasses and different things. You know, he didn't have a trade in there.
Okay. And was
Yeah.
he there at the end?
No, he left. He left about 2 years, I think, before the end.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then what was, I mean, I know you were outside at that stage, right? When
Yeah.
you finished. But what was it like at that stage when you heard that it was finished? And
Devastated. My son, I remember Robin being here and saying that they're after closing and they were going to hold a sit-in and everything else. And Jesus, they were really devastated, you know. And like, I suppose for a lot of people that saw the television, they said, oh, there's an awful lot of bully boy tactics when they saw the door being smashed in and everything else. But there was people that were there and they were just told, it's closed. No satisfaction as to when they were going to get their money. And they're there for years and years and stuck to the place, you know what I mean? Like they could have walked away, but they didn't. And I think it was very, very sad.
And did you go up to the sit-in?
Yeah, yeah,
So a lot of the ex-workers went up.
yeah. An awful lot of us. A few of us actually got together and we bought. We used to buy biscuits and sweets and this, that, and the other thing, and we brought them in for the lads when they were on the sit-in. You know, a good few of the workers that were after leaving. They were very. All the workers there were very loyal, you know. It was like, we were like as if we were institutionalised because just, we got on and we knew everyone and blah, you know, you knew everyone and that was it. At that time, you'd have no problem walking in any place, into a hotel or into a pub or any place, and you're always sure you have company because you'd meet some of the lads and everything else, you know.
So it was like a community then.
Really and truly like a community, yeah. Very much so, yeah.
And then, I mean, obviously it took a long time for the lads to get their pension. And eventually they got it. And now, obviously, the other side of it is that a lot of the lads are dying and they're getting to a certain age and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So is that very hard now for you, or?
Yeah, it really is, yeah. Do you know what I mean? When you think of, like, if you went back years, Ollie, I remember we in the friary down with the Franciscans used to always put on a special mass every year for those that were dead in Waterford Crystal. Now, the call out of the names and everything else would be over in an act. And someone said, the last time that they were there about 2 years ago, someone said, well, the poor priest now, he'd need about 10 days or so to call out because there's so many after dying. So many after dying, yeah, really and truly, yeah.
And is that just because the age people are at, or would you think that there was any health things from the gas, or would you?
I don't know. I couldn't really say that. An awful lot of people do blame. They say that there was probably an awful lot of red lead, and there was asbestos and different things. But I really couldn't.
Yeah, you don't know.
No, I don't, Ollie. I don't, and I really don't believe that it had any bearing, you know.
And just in relation to, I mean, the fact that, I mean, obviously, it's all gone now, and up Matty's Hill is all rubble and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
What would you like to see? Look, you know, what I mean, would you like to see some sort of something to show that the glass factory was there, or something? Or
Oh yeah, I'd love it.
like what? I mean, anything in your head about it?
What? Cheapest is very hard to say. Like what? Like for recognition for all the time it was there for the people that worked there, for all the craftsmen that were so fantastic. I don't think anyone better in the world, to be honest with you. That's not being biased. What would I don't know, something simple but yet telling the story. You know what I mean?
Like, do you think that Waterford people appreciated the craft?
Oh yeah.
Like, you know, do you think that we acknowledged it?
I think so.
enough?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think they were very proud that when you think that we were one of the top brands. You know what I mean? When you think of brands in the world, we were one of the top brands. Waterford Crystal. Then we bought over Wedgwood. Wedgwood was another top brand, and all the rest were very much brands that they bought. But you don't know whether they went too far, or I really don't know how the collapse. Maybe they gave in too much to different things, you know, and the wages probably escalated and went out of control. I don't know.
Okay, so Frankie, just before I want to hand you over the moulds, and maybe
Oh yeah,
could you tell us a little bit about them?
yeah.
Stay where you are there, and I'm just going to hand you over.
Right.
And you could just tell us a little bit about it.
Right. Tell me what way to.
Yeah, whatever. That's brilliant. So you
Yeah.
tell us a little, is Frankie, yeah, perfect.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit how you made these.
They're made in. I don't know whether you can see it or not. They're made up of all different layers of the wood. They put in when they're put into the voice, a special voice made. What you do is you put one this way, one the other way, one. You keep on building it up, and what you're doing is you're putting the grains against one another, and with the result that this thing could probably last for about 1,000 years without ever warping. As it is, this now I think is about 30 to 40 years old. Yeah.
And that was never used as a mould, was it?
No, that was used to go to the iron foundry to make a pattern. This is a pattern to make a mould, an iron mould. Yeah.
So if you were doing this for glass, would you make it in two halves like that, or would you do? How's it done?
No, you make it. Yeah, you make it just one piece, and then it's halved.
Okay.
It's halved and hinged together. In the legs of that, to have to be halved for the simple reason you couldn't get it out if it wasn't. So the lads have to open it up.
Yes.
But if that was just a cylinder or anything else, they could take it up out of the mould, so it wouldn't.
Okay, so if this was used for glass, it'd be all black on the inside and burnt slightly.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's what you were saying, that the glass would change each time.
Probably so. That was my assumption of it anyway.
And would you ever get a kind of, would there be a pattern from the grain of wood on the glass?
No,
Okay.
no, because I suppose Ollie, when he's, I suppose he's twisting it around, you know. So you know.
It burns in jail.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And the bigger one, show us the bigger one.
Yeah.
So this is, did you say this is beech? This wood?
This is red deal.
Red deal. Okay.
Red deal, yeah.
Okay.
Red deal. Red deal is just it's a better type wood to make. You could probably use white deal. You know what I mean? But red deal is just.
And you mentioned, what was the other one? Was it maple? No. Beech.
No.
Beech.
Oh, beech and
And pear.
beech and pear.
And were some of them harder to work with or softer to work with?
No, jeepers, the pear was very hard, but it was a beautiful silky wood after that, you know what I mean? And it had to be because, I mean, the lads had to roll that out and do this, the foot on the glass, you know?
Okay. The smell of wood is gorgeous, right?
Yeah.
I mean, was that like did other lads from the other parts of the factories love coming into your area where you're...
Probably, yeah. It's kind of a little bit of a meeting place, something, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, for some of the lads, yeah. Yeah.
In another section too, there was kind of a pottery place, wasn't there? For where they made the what do you call the things for the ovens and all that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah. The pot, part of the pots or pieces to put on, or
It's really funny because people wouldn't associate all these other crafts about the glass factory.
Yeah.
You know, they see it just as glass.
As glass.
But you had wood and you had pottery.
Oh
all
yeah.
these different things.
You had it.
It's really interesting.
That was next door to us. That was the photograph I was showing you earlier on, that I was making the mould in that place, but I had to make the mould out of clay.
Okay.
I had to make it out of clay instead of Because you see, I was able to make up a wooden pattern. And I was able to plant that in and then keep on pushing in the clay. And then it eventually made the mould. Because I didn't worry, because all I wanted was to probably get 2 good pieces out of it. And if anything after that, I didn't worry. If it fell asunder, then I didn't worry. Because that was the pieces in that. Always 2 or 3, because you always made sure in case there was an accident that you had another piece to fall back on. You know? Yeah.
And looking back then on the glass, your whole time there, I mean, were they happy times for you?
Ah, jeepers, Ollie, they really were, you know what I mean? They were, because there was there was boys and girls worked there, and I mean, they were the salt of the earth. They were so nice, you know what I mean? They were a lovely gang, yeah. And I mean, still to this day now, even though we're kind of all separated in different different living areas and everything else, but if you saw them, you still have a chat as if they were never after going out of your life, you know what I mean? You still had a chat.
And you know the other, because the glass factory had loads of other things going on, like the sports clubs, and there was the Tops of the Town, and there was all sorts. Were you ever involved in any of those things?
Oh, Tops of the Town for years. Tops of the Town for years and years. Jeez, Dermot Graham, he was a genius. He was before his time, really and truly, because he set the mark where Tops of the Town was concerned. They really did an awful lot of copy after, but he was certainly the one to.
And what did you do? What did you do in Tops of the Town?
Just chorus. Yeah.
So you were a handy singer then?
Yeah, not bad. Not bad.
And what kind of songs? What things did you do in Tops of the Town?
Jeepers.
What shows did you do?
Carousel. Oklahoma. Carousel, Oklahoma. Music hall, the English music hall, which was very, very good as well, you know, because you were dressed up in the gear and everything else. And I remember Dermot Graham wanted it so real looking that any of us that were in the part in the old, we had to grow a beard. And that was it. And he wouldn't have it any other way. So we had to grow a beard for it. I was just looking at boards when I was digging them out. Yeah.
And you got into all sorts of competitions then. You were not just in Waterford, you were...
Oh no, then they went to you went to the final in Dublin, the John Players final in Dublin, you know. I think
that was televised, wasn't it?
That was televised. That was televised. Yeah, we won it. I'm not sure how many times we actually won it.
Yeah.
I couldn't be sure of that. It's gone back so long, Ollie, you know.
Yeah. But it was a big thing at the time, wasn't it?
Oh, jeez, it was a big thing. It was absolutely big, yeah.
And Frank, did you ever get involved in any of the other music companies in town then after that? Or?
No, I didn't, Ollie. And yet I loved him as regarding the stage. I loved the stage. I loved drama. Because probably, like, I used to go down with my mother, you know, to be company with her. And I go down to the theatre aisle and I used to lap it up. And I mean, I'm talking about, I was probably only about 10, 12 or so at the time.
This would be Light Opera Festival, isn't it? Or?
Anything.
Okay.
Really and truly anything. But I used to love, jeepers, all the Irish, any of the Irish playwrights. And the sad of the story, I never liked anything that was really, gay, and I much prefer there was tragedy in it. I don't know what it is. Our Irish plays meant to be tragic, you know.
Well, they often are, aren't they?
Huh?
They often are.
Ah, gee.
So your mother liked going to see shows then?
She loved him. Oh, geez, Ollie, she loved him, yeah.
So you were down Flaggy Lane?
Down Flaggy Lane. We weren't much. We were only down the road, High Street, down the road. Off you go and down Flaggy Lane. Down Flaggy Lane, yeah. She loved him. Yeah, really did. Yeah. And even George Bernard Shaw, was from Kerry. we used to love
John B. Keane?
John B. Keane. John B. Keane, yeah. Jeez, almighty. And then in later life, I used to go when, you probably know him too, was Mick Brown. Mick bring me when Kitty wouldn't go. Kitty, his wife, Kitty would say, I'm not going with the opera festival. So I'd be brought, and I was delighted. I was in the best seats and the lovely seats, and they were straight out and you're watching out. And I used to love it. I used to really love that as well.
And how did you know Mick then?
Going back years, I suppose, from we say Alice, from different pubs around, that we knew Mick. It was a friend of mine, George Power. George knew Mick going back years and years from the Munster. And then we just picked up, and then, even though Kitty and Mick were years and, I won't say years and years, but years older than us, we used to go to one another's house once every week. You go to my house, you go to their house, and so we kind of got to know, and as I said, if Kitty had enough of which she would, if she was getting sick of it, certain operas, and she was after seeing him before and she didn't want to go, you take over. Well, he was the one doing the right and she didn't have to. So, yeah.
Because he had to go to everything.
He had to go to the whole lot, yeah. He loved him, though. Loved him. He had a brilliant mind. Jesus, the man could, do you know something?
Well, sure, he used to write half the most expressive.
He was, do you know, he really had he's the only one I could really say that could have a conversation with you this week and could pick up on it in 3 weeks' time where he left off. He was just, fabulous.
Yeah. And he wrote the soccer,
the
entertainment,
the
films, he wrote everything.
He wrote everything, yeah. He wrote every single thing, because Kitty used to be giving out stink to his weirding him out. Because then, don't forget, he had a fairly big job at the time then.
Post office. Yeah.
Post office, yeah. Post office. He was his ticket. Yeah, both of them dead now. Yeah.
So that's how you got to see all the shows with him.
Yeah. That's how I saw now. But now, prior to that, we used to go down when you could get tickets. You know how it was. You'd go down and you'd probably stand in the queue. And you could be standing in the queue for 3 hours, and when you got to the box office, the church, you had no tickets. There was no tickets left, or you'd be lucky enough to get a ticket. But I just love it. Yeah, I really loved it, yeah. Loved and local talent. Always loved local talent on the stage and everything else,
Yeah, and there was a lot of talent locally. I mean, between Anna Manahan and Frank
Coughlin. Jesus, yeah. There really wasn't there? There was. And sure, even to the earlier days, like Carrie Crowley. Carrie is still there. She's still carrying on. You know what I mean? I don't think with Carrie. I don't think she ever pushed herself enough. She could have been a lot more famous than what she is. I think she could anyway. You know.